Okay, so we've got these bones here that we can bend into a nice fist shape, but our weight painting's not 100%. It's pretty good. Blender took a good guess, but we really want to improve it. So what can we do? First of all, let's view this hand in both windows and give ourselves some more room. Always looking for room. And you can see what we need actually is, first of all, we need some more geometry. And I'm going to show you how to handle it in this situation. I know. I said we were going to do weight painting. We will, but in a minute. So let's go into edit mode. And what we really need is to add some ring cuts for the fingers. I'm going to hide our armature object for now. And just go ahead and say ring cut, ring cut. Just doing Control R, that's all. Ooh, escape, undo, Control R. Escape. Now you might be thinking, John, what have you done? Because if we see, oh, I've got X mirror on, but it no longer works because this is not in exactly the same position as that. And that could be a problem. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a cool feature of Blender that will allow us to fix this. I'm just going to select all the loops that we added on this hand. Alright, they're all added. And then I'm going to say, bring our tool shelf up, mesh, snap to symmetry. And I'm going to say snap from the positive X over to the negative X. And the blend factor is going to be 0. So if I raise the blend factor all the way to the right, then it would shift the ones on the right over to the ones on the left. But right now, you can see that it's doing pretty darn good, taking a guess as to which ones to move. And if you did it like 0.5, it would do 50-50. And if it's not working, you might have to increase the threshold. So now, the cool thing is, these are in position, and if I were to select one and move it, you can see that our X mirroring is working again. So that's snap to symmetry. So we can just make sure all our I didn't want to really move those. Select and move it. Right click to cancel. Just keep right clicking. I'm just double checking. So that's a super handy feature. There you go. That looks right. And our OR thumb, our finger 0. Let's do that too. Let's try that. Let's select these. Make sure we got them all the way there. And again, mesh. And we're going to do snap to symmetry. And you can see, it looks like that's working. That guy there. Cool. Let's switch to object mode and Alt-H to show our armature. Click on it and switch to pose mode. And you can see that we're going to have to adjust our weighting. So really what I'm going to do is go into the mesh again. I'm going to select both hands, the same vertices on each side. And I'm going to say, well, first let's make sure, looks like we got it right. I'm going to say Control G, remove from all groups. So now, and I'm also going to click Show Weights. I don't need to see the seams or creases. Now we'll be able to see that these aren't weighted at all. So I move this. We're going to apply these individually. But what we're going to do is we could say, oh, add it to a specific group. For example, from here, and say assign. But I don't want to do that because then I'd have to do it for this side too, even with x-axis mirroring on. So what I want to do is switch out of edit mode, get into paint mode. Let's turn that off. Let's select this bone and turn that on, the vertex masking. And then I'm going to say Shift K. In Shift K, we'll assign whatever this value is, whatever we set here. So right now we're setting the weight to 1. I'll turn this off, go into edit mode again, deselect those, select these guys, come back here, select this bone, switch that on, Shift K, and so on. It's kind of a drag that you have to select the bone you have to switch modes. I don't think there's another way to do it. Let's try going to the outliner here, and let's turn that off for a second. Come over here and select this guy. Let's look in our pose, because we're in pose mode right now, and it comes off the hips. There we go. So if we do this, it switches us into pose mode, which we don't really want. We want to stay in weight painting, but be able to select those, or have the process be not so laborious. So I select these, come back, switch to the vertex masking, Shift K, turn that off, select the next bone, come here, deselect, select these, come back, turn this on, Shift K. It cries of automation. And one thing we can do in Blender fairly easily is take a look at what's happening here. When we click this off, you can see that we've just toggled our vertex. Oh, sorry. This is where we set the use paint mask vertex to false. Come into edit mode toggle. Come back, select this bone here, Shift K, and so on. Well, we could actually select these and copy them and build a little script to make some of this a little easier. So, and I happen to have done that. Text editor. Do a new text. And let's see, we don't need this. I want some syntax coloring. You can see what I'm going to do here is I go from edit mode to weight paint with turning the vertex masking on. Then I set to the weight paint, the Shift K. Then I toggle the selection, and then I switch us back off of vertex mode. So it's a little bit better. It's still not fully automated, but let's give that a try. The key is, of course, starting out in the right state. So I'll select this, and I go into edit mode, select the vertices, and then at this point I could say run script. So running the script will switch us back to paint, turn the vertex masking on, do the Shift K, then it'll deselect all, then I'll turn the vertex masking off, then I can select the next bone. Let's try it. I'll select the next bone, go into edit mode. It's nice because those are all deselected now. Go over here, run script, click the next bone, go into edit mode, click the vertexes that I want, run script, select the next bone, and so on. It's a little bit better, a little bit easier, but it's nice to have the option. And I really didn't have to understand too much about the code to figure that out, with one exception, which I'll show you as soon as I get this selected. Do I want these? I think I do. Let's see. With one exception, and that exception was that when you see this BPY context object data, I put in the word data, even though it wasn't putting it here because it wasn't working. I was getting an error. And I reported that bug, and they've already fixed it in the latest build, which eventually will be rolled into the next release of Blender. So it should be outputting the correct path in the next version. So let's come over here. Make sure we get the right let's see, I want that one. Probably those two as well. So just to show you, we've got the mirrored weighting, which is nice. Which is what we wanted. I don't know why, but I'm always more comfortable working on this side. Let's go into edit mode and then see what should be weighted for the hand. And we can move this up now. That, I think I want there. That looks pretty good. So I guess the best thing to do here is to test it. Yeah! Missed a few vertices. Let's type N. Let's go into weight. Let's see. Let's see who has 0 weights. This should be okay. See, in black, when you click all, it's going to show what vertices are not part of any group. It's in black, so I can't really see. I can't really see where they are unless I select them all. So what I'm thinking is, let's see, got this one here, that there. We'll come back to that. Well, let's do the index finger first. Select here, come back to edit. We'll include this. That looks better, except that I want good, I think. Let's select this bone, go into edit mode, like that, and that. Good. I'm not seeing any black now. So let's just look to see while these are see. I think I'm going to clear that rotation and take another look at this. Let's see. Aha, it's on the bottom of the hand. Let's go here. We'll select those vertices. I think they should be part of the hand. Run the script. Yay. Now, we don't need that here anymore, but I would like our properties back. And then let's look at how these bend. Too much, but it looks pretty good for the rotation. Looked a little too much, but the white painting looks pretty good. Let's add a foot rig. So let's get out of weight painting. Let's go into edit mode. And let's select this. Do E. I don't want it connected. So let's disconnect it, and then I would like its parent to be the hips. Scale on the Z0, enter. And let's call this foot L and foot R. And it's going to be our foot controller. In fact, I'm going to put it right here for now. And from this, oh, maybe right about there, I'm going to extrude for the toe, and then for the ball of the foot, I'm going to extrude all the way up to here. In fact, in order to snap to this, I'm going to say cursor to selected. Select this, and then selection to cursor. Here we go. I'm gonna turn off the axes for now, in fact the names also, just to try and make this clearer. So then I could select this again. Let's go to wireframe. There we go. And then one more child off of here going the opposite way. Now, only some of these bones are going to cause deformations in the mesh. So what I'm going to do is select this, go to our bone menu. This one won't deform. This one won't. And then that one won't. Now let's give names to these. This was foot. This is going to be the ankle, left, ankle, right. This will be the ball, roll, right, ball, roll, left. And this is going to cause this is really our toe. Moving our toe. And this one is toe roll. Right? And then let's go over to pose mode. We may have to adjust and roll some of these bones, but we're going to select this bone, the ankle, then select the shin and say Shift I and say Add IK to the active bone. We'll click on the active bone and go over to the bone constraints. We don't have a pole target yet, and we only need to go this bone and this bone, so our chain length will be 2. Let's do the same for the other. Shift I, make this 2, and then let's look at this from the side. And this guy doesn't need to really ever move or do anything other than sit in the location he's at. So what we can do is go over to our bone. Before in the hand I showed you about using constraints, but since we're just dealing with 2 bones, let's keep it simple and say, okay, the ankle, it's just a target for the IK. We're never going to scale it or rotate it. And I'm just left clicking and dragging up. So now, how do we move it? It's like the foot, type G, and then the guy's thrown into sudden pain as his leg is bent backwards. It's because we don't have a pole target yet. And we haven't weighted our feet to the new bones yet either. So what can we do? Let's add a pole target. Let's go into edit mode, and what should the pole target be a parent of? I'm thinking maybe of this leg. Let's do Shift D and just along the Y. And how about if I just turn that over and say scale Y0, enter. I can bring this down. Doesn't need to be that big. And this is the pole target for the knee. It should not be a deformed bone either, neither of those. Should give it a good name like knee left and knee right. And then go back to pose mode, select our bone with the constraint on it and say in the armature we want knee left, and on this one we want armature again, knee right. So far so good, other than he looks like one of the old Egyptian paintings with his legs, and that's because we can set the pole angle here. So let's see, it's around here, so it's probably -90, make it happy. And let's come over here, -90, there we go. Let's see if that helps the IK. Cool. That's looking pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and do a file, save as. Now, similar to what we did for the hand, let's go in, check the weight painting for the mesh. So this guy has all this on the shin, and we're going to want to minimize that. Let's go back to object mode, select the armature, let's set the stick again, and weight painting. Let's see, edit mode. Why don't we just select both these feet, all those vertices. This should be part of the shin, I think. Oop. Let's try that again. And then C, using Alt, left clicking, and escape. Alright, and what are we going to do? We're going to say Control G, remove from all. So now you see they turn black. And what we're going to do is go to weight painting, and we want to assign, let's select the ball roll. Here's a case where if we want, this might be easy enough just to paint the old-fashioned way. Really though, when I look at this, I want to add more geometry for the toes. So let's go into here, let's say don't show weights right now. And let's see where this is in conjunction with the bone. Alright, so Alt B, so we can clip our viewing plane and look down. Come back here. Let's leave weight painting mode for now. And also I'm going to turn our subdivisions back to normal. And I really want to go into into edit mode for these bones and just select that. Go along the Y. That's all right. We may play around with this a little bit more. Let's go back to our mesh and let's add a loop here, and a loop here, and one here, one here, and then we'll select these two loops, go to mesh, snap to symmetry, better open our tool shelf, and let's check. That's good. That looks like we're in business. So now we got the extra geometry for bending of that toe. Let's go ahead and try and map these bones. It may be easier if we only have the bones we want to work with visible. So let's hide that bone, and it's twin in that one. And then I need to have the octahedrons back on. Am I saying octahedron? Octahedral. This one and this one we can hide. So now just the bones that are going to affect the mesh are visible. And we can go into our edit mode. I'm going to select them. And then hit escape. Do I have my script here? Yeah, it's still there. Right up there. I'm going to say run script. And I'm going to undo because I didn't select a bone first. Make sure I undo the right amount. And come back in here. I'm going to make sure that I didn't mess up our symmetry. Looks fine. Never hurts to play it safe. So let's select these. And come back in pose mode. Okay, that's good. Here. Make sure that's in weight. And I'll just run it. There we go. And again, the reason I am doing it this way is so that we only have to do it on one side at a time. And it applies to both. So let's select these guys. Go all the way over here. We may have to play with this a little bit, but that's pretty good. Oh, let's make sure. Okay, that's selected. Right. That's good. Now let's do Alt-B and Alt-H and see how things are looking. Something's missing. Like some sort of cartoon character when you get it that much. So, looks like Looks like I must have affected some of the bones on the other side. Let's take a look at that. So I want to see ball roll. Aha, those vertices should not be in here. I must have had them selected, but I'm just going to select all those and say remove. Let's make sure it's not true on the other side as well. It is. Well, at least I'm consistent. Select all those and remove them. We better check our toes. Toes look good. Looks good. Now, there we go. Cool. That looks good. Let's go ahead and save as.